Tri-State Generation and Transmission has teamed up with a subsidiary of Duke Energy to build the first wind project in East Central Colorado.
We're here at Ascent to celebrate it as a truly Colorado company.
RE Power is this great example of a 21st century industry corporation moving its corporate headquarters because we're thinking about all the ways we can make this a business-friendly state.
It struck me that there was this potential in the state and it just had been not tapped, that the people of the state were ready to do it, that we were a state that could lay down a template for the rest of the country. While it's about the environment, while it is about the economy, while it's about energy policy, that it is really about educating our country on how all of these things can be part of a progressive path forward for the state of Colorado.
I think the public supports renewable energy on a 2 or 3 to 1 basis. We took that to the ballot in Colorado in 2004 and showed over very stiff utility opposition that the people of this state wanted to have renewable energy.
Amendment 37, which created the first renewable energy standard here in Colorado, that was the first renewable energy standard adopted by a vote of the public in the nation.
First state in the country where there was an initiative on the ballot and the people of the state voted in favor of putting in place a renewable energy standard.
Yes on 37. Cleaner air, cheaper energy.
All across Colorado, renewable energy companies are thriving, taking advantage of the environment created by our abundant supply of natural resources and the abundant supply of support.
The trough that we're building is bigger, it's better, it's less expensive, it's quicker to install. It really is the cutting edge of trough technology.
In Alamosa, we have an 8.2 megawatt project. It's about 27,000 panels, solar electric panels down there. It serves about 2,000 residential customers and it serves the needs of the San Luis Valley itself.
And the wind farm is composed of 108 1.5 megawatt turbines that generates enough electricity for 52,000 homes.
And even though Colorado is already a leader in the development of renewable energy, we are only on the threshold of what promises to be the nation's next great growth industry.
The potential for solar in Colorado is easily in the gigawatt range in the near term, and over the longer term probably as much as 10 or 20 gigawatts.
This one turbine right here supplies between 60 and 70% of the town of Springfield's total needs.
Our goal is to have the 30 megawatt facility here, but my goal is to get this to 100 megawatt.
We quadrupled the amount of wind on the grid in a year's time when I became governor. That's just in the Eastern Plain with current technology. The technology gets better. There may be ways to capture wind in other parts of the state that we're currently not doing. That becomes an export commodity for places where there's not sun or wind, but care about a renewable energy standard.
So how do we get there from here? It would require a variety of initiatives, and a key initiative will require transmission.
What we need to do is think about how we build out the infrastructure, the transmission infrastructure that can utilize these renewable resources.
One of the things that you have found as far as a barrier to market for renewable energy has been what we call the chicken and egg scenario. Developers can't come in until new transmission line is built. We can't build new transmission lines until developers come in, and so therefore we're at a standstill.
Our transmission system has served us well over the past decades, but if we truly want to make a change in our energy infrastructure toward a cleaner, more sustainable energy infrastructure, we will have to address the transmission issue in Colorado and throughout the West.
Unfortunately, we just don't have the level of high voltage transmission in place in Colorado to be able to fully avail ourselves of the opportunities to bring that renewable energy to the loads.
Colorado, like the rest of the Western Interconnection, is in the midst of a new building boom. We haven't seen anything like this since the late 70s and early 1980s, when we connected large coal-fired power plants distant from load to load centers. We are at the beginning of this building boom. It will largely be driven by the needs of utilities to acquire a low-carbon renewable generation.
Here in Colorado, I think we're very fortunate. We probably have far more renewable energy than we can really put into the system and use, and therefore, as much as we want to try to put in, the challenge will be getting it in as a cost-effective fashion and making it reliable enough so when people turn their light switch on, there's actually power flowing to their lights.
Transmission costs somewhere north of $1 million a mile for a high-capacity electric line. So if you go 500 miles, you're talking about at least $500 million, and that's a hurdle.
Although high-voltage transmission lines come with a price tag, when one examines the costs that go into the electric bill, transmission represents but a small fraction.
We all benefit from a high-voltage transmission system. We all benefit from renewable energy, and we have to find a better way of calculating those benefits. When we do a comparison of the cost and the benefits, we find that this is the way to go.
There are a number of states, including Colorado, who are not waiting for the federal action that's necessary here. Colorado has been a pioneer in mapping its state renewable electric resources, solar and wind, for example, and understanding where the areas of the greatest production of energy from those technologies can be had, and then determining how to get transmission services to those areas such that, in addition to meeting our needs in the state, perhaps someday we'll produce enough to be a net exporter of renewable electricity, which will again be good for the state's economy.
Certainly we at the Governor's Energy Office are playing a more active role in the planning of these transmission lines, and that's part of the reason that we produced this READY report, Renewable Energy Development Infrastructure. It's to provide a lot more information and analysis so that it helps the utilities and the regulators and the legislature and the Governor's Office all work in a closer tandem so that we can speed up the pace of this.
The READY report calls for considering these directions. Colorado needs to greatly increase our investment in utility-scale wind and solar generation. Expand our investments in energy efficiency, distributed generation, and conservation. Make new commitments to build high-voltage electric power transmission to bring renewable energy from resource-rich areas in rural Colorado to the state's major load centers. Make investments in natural gas power plants to increase power to the grid and to integrate renewable resources.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President and Vice President of the United States, accompanied by Governor Bill Ritter and Blake Jones.
The efforts and advances Colorado has made in renewable energy have not gone unnoticed by those who aren't easily impressed. It's just another indication that Colorado is on the right path in the new energy economy.
President Obama came here and signed the stimulus bill because he knew that we had made all these efforts around clean energy, and we were able to do some very significant job creation as a part of that. So that's gratifying.
One of the things that Governor Ritter was able to identify early was that this was an emerging industry. And in Colorado, we've seen that really come to fruition with our policies that we've been promoting to try and advance investment in renewable energy technologies and energy efficiency. But then we've also seen it on the other side, where we're starting to grow more renewable energy businesses, more energy efficiency businesses all over the state.
The new energy economy has an enormous impact not only on the quality of life in the state and the sort of general economic well-being of the state, but frankly on jobs.
So it's all about thinking how you marry your energy policy with your environmental policy and with your economic policy. That's the new energy economy.
I've lived in Colorado for 35 years, and I'm very proud of this state and where it's going with renewable energy for our future.
I'm excited and pleased that my kids are growing up in a state where renewable energy is important. It matters for their future and their health.
I want the world that I'm going to be living in to get its energy from clean sources, like renewable energy. Let's get it done.
The people of Colorado recognize the importance of renewable energy to the state. We hope this READY video and the READY report have made the case that with an increased focus on transmission, we can get there from here.